Welcome to the award-winning show, Cool Kids Cook with Kid Chef Eliana. Your host, Eliana, is a 3-time cookbook author and foodie. Listen as Eliana interviews the nation's culinary movers and shakers, explores ingredients from around the world, and shares her tasty recipes. Here's your host, Kid Chef Eliana.
Welcome to the program, Cool Kids Cook. I'm Kid Chef Eliana, a cookbook author, foodie, and your show host. Here's what's happening with me. This past weekend, I did a 4th of July cooking demo at the Crescent City Farmers Market. More in a bit. Since it was 4th of July, my family and I had a grill out. I'll talk about it in a few. And I just started my stage at Commander's Palace, and it's been great so far. Tune in for more later. Now, I'm thrilled to introduce our special guest, Robin Newman, author of The Case of the Missing Carrot Cake. Robin Newman has been a practicing attorney and legal editor, but she prefers to write about witches, mice, pigs, and peacocks. She lives in New York with her husband, son, goldfish, and English Cocker Spaniel. In The Case of the Missing Carrot Cake, Captain Griswold and Detective Wilcox are 2 hard-boiled police mice and MFIs, missing food investigators. When Miss Rabbit's carrot cake goes missing the day before her big party, Griswold and Wilcox must investigate a farm full of fun, colorful suspects, and it will take smarts and a delicious dose of humor to crack the case. Miss Robin, thank you so much for being a guest on the show, and welcome to Cool Kids Cook.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm delighted to be here.
Oh, you're welcome. It's my pleasure. Now, I think that The Case of the Missing Carrot Cake is just such a cute and fun mystery book. Now, I really love mystery books. They're one of my favorite genres, so I thought the concept of this book was really fantastic. So, how did you come up with the idea for this book?
Oh, thank you. Well, it was actually one of the very first books I ever wrote, and I probably should just give you a little bit of backstory. It happened during one Christmas holiday break. I happened to notice that one of my nieces, Isabel, was yawning while she was opening up her gifts, and it occurred to me she had too many gifts and she was quite bored. So the following year, I decided to make all of my nieces and nephews more personal gifts, and I ended up doing books for all the kids. And so for, like, my niece Zoe, I did a picture book about sad letter Z, the untold story of the last letter of the alphabet. And then for Isabel and Cedric, I came up with the Double Trouble Bananas Book Detective Agency. And they were these 2 monkeys, and they worked their beat from a tree house. And on their first big case, they had to track down a missing birthday cake that the dog had taken. And lo and behold, all these characters were just sort of inspired very much by just my family members. And so I took a version of this story to my writing group, and everyone in the writing group, they hated the monkeys. So I'm like, okay, fine, I'll ditch the monkeys. And then I started to think, well, what? It might actually be kind of fun to have, like, the story set on a farm, and then maybe the enforcers of justice could be the tiniest animals on the farm. And so that's how I came up with mice. And then little by little, like, after rewrite, going back to my group, everyone kept on saying it needs to be more detective-y. It needs to have, like, give me the facts and just the facts kind of rhythm. So I ended up watching a ton of, like, police cop shows. I watched Dragnet, Law and Order, you name it. And then so little by little, the rhythm and just that formula for detective shows came about. And that's sort of pretty much how The Case of the Missing Carrot Cake came about. So, that's pretty much the story for that one.
Wow, that's really awesome that you definitely did a lot of research for the book, and it came out really great. I loved the whole book, and my mom and I actually love giving books as gifts. It is our favorite thing. So whenever it's someone's birthday or any special occasion where we have to give a gift, we're usually going to give them a book because it is the best gift you can ever give. You get knowledge from the book,
so
and it's also really fun to read a book. I am obsessed with books, so I have so many books on my bookshelf, and I am just running out of room. And,
it definitely helps when your mom is, a children's book author too.
Exactly.
And you're surrounded by it. But I think that's just terrific. It just, it certainly makes you I'm sure, a much better person, and probably makes you a much better chef, and, it's just, reading is just like one of those life skills that, will be with you forever, so it's just, and one thing about, like, picture books, too, it's one of those things that, like, your earliest books are probably the ones that you remember the most. It's just, it's funny when I look back at my childhood and I think back about the stories that I remember, and they're always like, Where the Wild Things Are, or Babar, or Madeline. But the other stories just sort of, that in-between phase, just sort of, I just sort of blank out on it. But those very early books I always remember.
Yeah, definitely, with all the pictures, and they're always so cute, and I love them too, so that's really great. But like you said, my mom is a children's book author, and she has this giant library in her office, like a whole wall just full of books. So, and I also have an entire cookbook collection, and I have all different types of genres of cookbooks, and so we're definitely into the books, and we're definitely a reading and writing family. I could read books 24/7 and not get tired of them.
Well, that's great. I wish my 8-year-old son took that same attitude. At the moment now, he would much rather play a video game than read a book, but little by little, it's just, I assume he'll change his mind at some point.
Yeah, definitely. When I was younger, I wasn't that into reading. I wasn't a big fan of it, but then, I don't know, at just some point, I read a book that just really got me hooked, and I don't know, ever since then, I don't remember what book it was, but ever since then, I've just loved reading. So maybe one day he'll find that book that really inspires him.
Yeah, no, I even remember, I have to admit, the fruit doesn't fall far from the tree, because I wasn't an avid reader when I was a kid. And the one book that sort of changed it for me was Wuthering Heights when I was in high school. And I actually gave up the one and only date I had ever been asked on to finish up that book, which just sort of tells you how much I loved it, and how it was more important than going out on a date. So it just so it's just so I'm hoping that big moment will come for him at some point.
Yes, definitely. Now, I know that you were also at the American Library Association in San Francisco last month, and you did a cooking demo of the carrot cake recipe that's in the Case of the Missing Carrot Cake. Now, I actually did a cooking demo there a few years ago at the What's Cooking at ALA stage. And I actually cooked some jambalaya, and everyone really loved that.
Oh, wow.
And I read your blog, and I know that you said you kind of fake baked. So what was that experience like?
Don't tell anybody. No, that's true. It's just, I really could have used your help, going into this. When I first got the email saying that I had a cooking demo, I honestly didn't know if I should laugh or cry, because I'm not a baker. And, over the years, I've been extremely good friends, with Betty Crocker, Nestle Toulouse, however you pronounce that, and of course, the Pillsbury Doughboy and I go back like many, many years. So it's just, just the thought of making something from scratch, and I had never made the carrot cake recipe before. So I practiced pretty much like every week. I made at least 3 or 4. I made carrot cake at least 3 or 4 times during the week, and I also I've been bringing it now to every single school visit that I do. And one thing that made the experience so much easier was the fact that Mollie Katzen's recipe is just so easy that a beginning baker like myself could do it. And it's also a great recipe for kids too. And so I made it through, and quite honestly, I had a blast, and it was just so much fun being on that cooking stage, and I'm sure you know what it's like. And it went really, really well. And so it's just, I didn't anticipate it going well. And
I'm sure you probably got tired of making carrot cakes.
Actually, no. It's just my son adores the carrot cake recipe. And so sometimes in the carrot cake recipe in the book does not come with frosting, so I sometimes treat them like muffins, and I'll make them for breakfast now. So it really has changed my way of like thinking about baking, and it really doesn't take a lot of time and effort to make them. You know, it's just I don't know why, it just had never occurred to me that, oh wow, you know, you can actually make this from scratch. And once you have all your ingredients together, it really probably just takes about maybe 10 to 15 minutes or so in the oven. So it's not that bad.
Yeah, that's actually like really easy. I mean, and if you can do it, I'm sure everyone else can do it. It seems like a really simple recipe. I've looked at the recipe, and it seems pretty, you know, straightforward, down to the point. So I'm pretty sure anyone, even if they're not a great baker, can make the recipe. And it looks like it must be a really good recipe, too.
It's delicious. I mean, it's just, I have been making it with, even though it's not in the book, I have added cream cheese frosting to it when I sometimes bring it to schools. And because I've always thought of carrot cake as like, you know, like a party celebration kind of thing. And if you're going to have carrot cake, you might as well just go all out and add the cream cheese frosting.
Might as well.
So, and then also, I'm sorry, what?
I love cream cheese frosting. It's probably my favorite type of frosting, and it is so good. I mean, and it's so amazing when you put it on carrot cake.
I know, and it's also like amazingly easy to make. You know, and at least the recipe that I use it's just 3 ingredients. It's cream cheese, like a package of cream cheese, a cup of confectioner's sugar, and maybe a teaspoon of vanilla, and that's it. And you just whip it up.
It is so easy. So everyone should definitely try that recipe and check out the book. Well, bake a carrot cake. We'll be right back. I'm Kid Chef Eliana, and you're listening to Cool Kids Cook. Welcome back to Cool Kids Cook. I'm Kid Chef Eliana. Let's continue our interview with Robin Newman, author of The Case of the Missing Carrot Cake. Now let's find out more about you personally, Miss Robin. What's your favorite dish to cook, and what's your favorite dish to eat?
Well, that is a very good question. I would have to say my favorite dish to cook is probably ratatouille. And my stepmother is French, and so she does a version of it that it doesn't include eggplant, and it's zucchini, carrots, onions, sometimes some chickpeas, some cooking wine, and just a little bit of olive oil. And you just sort of let it stew for an hour or so. And it's so great, too, because you can use it as a base for anything. I use it in the winter. I use it as a base for, making stews, like with chicken or lamb. And it's just so, especially on a cold winter day, it's just so great, over like some couscous or some egg noodles and with a big, thick piece of country bread and some butter. So that's probably my favorite dish to make. And then in terms of things that I like to eat, once again, I just sort of go back to my extremely talented stepmother, who is just a fantastic cook and spoils us rotten. And she from like early on, she just started. She'll make like the basics, the French. She'll do a steak au poivre with these little little French cut potatoes that are just so wonderful, And she will also. I'm just trying to think. I mean, some of the dishes that she makes that are just great are like she'll do poached pears and wine sauce, which I absolutely adore. And one of the best things that she makes during the holidays, she makes a sausage stuffing that is to die for. And I've never met anybody who makes a stuffing like her. And it's sausage, and it has prunes, apples, chestnuts, and onions, and if I were just given like a big bowl of this, I could probably eat this morning, noon, and night. And it's just incredible. So that's probably
so good.
Up there on my favorite food list. Yeah.
Wow, that sounds really good. I could totally go for that right now. I'm starving. You're just making me hungry thinking about all this food.
I know, it's good.
But I love it. Ratatouille is so delicious. It seems and like kind of sounds like one of those dishes that would be super hard to make, but it really isn't. It's one of those meals that's really easy to just throw together, with things that you have. It's so good. And sausage stuffing, that's so good. We like to do stuffing at like Thanksgiving and occasions like that, but that sounds really great. It's got lots of different ingredients that you normally wouldn't, think about putting in there.
Yeah, the chestnuts just really add a different texture to it, it's one of those things we all look forward to it, and it's just, it's very special, and it's not calorie free, but it's oh God, it's good.
Yeah, but it sounds good. And I love chestnuts, so I bet it'd be really great in there with that nice crunch to it. Oh my gosh, that sounds awesome. Yeah. I really want some right now. Now, can you share with our listeners your funniest or most disastrous food memory?
I can. I actually have two of them. One day I decided to make Ina Garden's tiramisu, and the recipe calls for espresso. Well, I really honestly don't know what was going through my mind, but I had the coffee grounds, and I was just about to put them on the cake, and my husband is looking at me like, you really think that's what she meant? And you don't think it was brewed coffee that she was thinking of? And, he's like, just like think about it before you do it. And I don't know, I said it calls for coffee. Fortunately my husband stopped me before the disaster could have happened. The recipe called for brewed coffee, and I just completely spaced out on that one. And then the other disaster is not quite a cooking disaster, but there was one evening that I made a roast chicken, and I had deboned it. I put it on the plate, and we were all about to sit down for dinner, and then something happened, and we had to leave the table for about 15 or 20 minutes. And then when we came back, the chicken was gone. And then the only family member that seemed to have been missing was our dog. And the plate had been looked clean. I mean, everything was just gone. And the dog was nowhere to be found. So she was in the doghouse for quite a bit after that, but it just that was hysterical. She's this tiny little Cocker Spaniel, and I'm amazed that she was able. She must have jumped up on the chair and then onto the table to get that chicken. And to her credit, I'm just amazed at her persistence and determination to get the chicken. But everything was completely wiped clean.
Well, it must have smelled really good if she wanted that chicken that bad.
I know, that's true. My guess is it could have been raw and she would have still grabbed the chicken. But yeah, no, that was really funny. But it was definitely like the three of us were, where did the chicken go? I mean, like, did it walk off? Did it, and then all of a sudden somebody's like, well, where's Madeline? And it was like, wait a second. So anyway, it was sort of funny. So.
Just like magic, and the chicken just disappeared.
I know. Did it walk off?
Yeah, to just get its legs back and just run away or something. Where?
That's so true. So, so those are my two big disasters, and I guess one actually wasn't my disaster, but
well, at least
we ended up ordering in.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, at least the dog got a good meal.
That's true. I know. Yeah.
And at least the other disaster, the tiramisu, it didn't quite make it to the disaster.
It didn't. I know. It just, but it was the reaction on my husband's face was just like the best. He's like, "You actually think the coffee grounds are going into the cake?" And I mean, he was just looking at me like I'm the biggest idiot, and I'm like, "Oh, wait a second." It's just like, okay. Perhaps he might have a valid point on this one. So anyway,
right?
You live and you learn with these things. So,
well, at least it didn't turn out bad. I mean, I'm sure it tasted great when it, after you're finished.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, usually her recipes are usually pretty good and reasonable, pretty easy to follow. So that was and I think at that same dinner I made one of her lemon chickens. And that was actually pretty good. So it's just
I mean, yeah. so you can cook. It's not like can't cook.
I can generally follow a recipe. Not always, but a little bit. So,
well, now let's talk about unusual foods. What's the most unusual food you've ever eaten? Is there a food you would never eat again?
I'm not exactly the most adventurous eater. So I guess unusual and food that I hate are almost one and the same. But when I was growing up, my mother used to make us eat liver. And there's something about the sight, the texture, the smell of liver that I honestly just find to be the most repulsive food that anybody could ever make a child eat. And I guess this is like the era before like vitamins were took care of a lot of these things. But my mom was adamant about it. And, of course, when you really hate a food, it seems to show up on your plate again and again and again. But also, when we were growing up, we were very fortunate. I have a twin sister. And anyway, the two of us, we also had an English bulldog, Mr. Dickens. And Mr. Dickens, unlike the two of us, he loved liver. So it just, as soon as my mom would just sort of disappear from the room, we would just make sure that the dog was around, and we literally just gave him everything. And so that's probably the food I will never eat again. So
well, I don't know if I've actually had liver just by itself, but I'm okay with liver pate and things like that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pate is really different in terms of this. Liver has a really slimy texture to it.
And it's got that iron, that irony taste, and I can see why a lot of people don't like it.
Yeah, it's also very veiny, and it's just I'm generally fine with the pates, even the foie gras pates, which are most people have a big issue with these days. But it's just that the whole liver thing just. Yeah, not for me.
Well, I'm sure there's plenty of other foods you love. Now, lastly, here's a wacky off-the-wall food question. If you could cook with anyone in the world, past or present, with whom would you cook and why?
Oh, that is such a great question. I'm trying to think. Of course, I can't. If I had to narrow it down, I would narrow it down to two people. And I would probably pick Mollie, Katzen, and Julia Child. I mean, both of them have just changed the way we cook and how we think about food. And Mollie Katzen, she brought vegetarian and vegan cuisine to the forefront when everybody was still basically very much a meat and potatoes kind of diet. And of course, Julia Child, I love that, she just really pursued her passion about cooking. And she's a late bloomer. And one of the things I used to love about her show is she would make mistakes, and a chicken would fly off the table and while she was cutting it, or her souffle didn't actually poof up, and that was okay. It's just and it was great too, as a someone who's learning how to cook, to realize that the chefs of the world also have cooking mistakes, and And but and also with her show too, she also realized, it's not just like that. It's okay to make mistakes, but you should also just like have a good time and laugh about them too.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, not everyone is perfect in the kitchen. We all have mistakes and we fix them, but it's good to laugh them off, not, get mad about it or anything. You can always just redo it or try it another time. I mean, there's so much things you can do, but
yeah, no, that's very true. I mean, definitely a good lesson, overall for life. It's just you try your best, and if it doesn't work out, you try something else.
Exactly. Yeah, that's definitely a great rule. And those are definitely great people to choose. Now, thank you so much, Miss Robin, for being a guest on Cool Kids Cook.
Oh, thank you. And I just want to say mega congratulations for your stage at Commander's Palace. And I hope you have a wonderful summer. And they're very, very lucky to have you.
Oh, thank you. Well, you've shown us that carrot cake tastes best without dog biscuits, and that cooking up a children's mystery book is a fun job. If you want to find out more about Robin Newman and the case of the missing carrot cake, visit KidChefEliana.com for all the links. Eat a slice of delicious carrot cake while we take a quick break. I'm Kid Chef Eliana, and you're listening to Cool Kids Cook. Kid Chef Eliana, and it's Cool Kids Cook. It's time for a Tisket, a Tasket, what's inside my basket? Today's secret ingredient is watermelon. Let's talk about watermelon. Watermelon is actually 92% water. Nearly 5,000 years ago in Egypt, the first recorded watermelon was harvested. Watermelons were used as canteens by early explorers. Now, according to the Guinness World Records, the world's heaviest watermelon was actually grown by Lloyd Bright in Arkansas in 2005, and it weighed 268.8 pounds. So that's a pretty big watermelon. I bet it fed a lot of people. The United States is currently 5th in worldwide production of watermelon. 44 states actually grow watermelons. Florida, Texas, California, and Georgia, and Arizona consistently lead the country in production. Here's a recipe for my red, white, and blue watermelon salad. Now, I actually invented this recipe at my 4th of July cooking demo at the Crescent City Farmers Market, and it turned out fantastic. Ingredients: 1 quart of blueberries, 2 white peaches diced, 2 Creole tomatoes diced, 3 banana peppers diced, half a large watermelon sliced into 1-inch round slices, 1 pint of yogurt cheese, half a teaspoon of jalapeno minced, 3 tablespoons of basil chopped, and I actually used a mix of lemon basil, blue basil, and Christmas basil, and 1 teaspoon of lemon thyme. Directions: In a large bowl, mix together blueberries, peaches, grilled tomatoes, and banana peppers. Place enough of the mixture to cover a whole slice of watermelon. In a smaller bowl, mix together yogurt cheese, jalapeno, and herbs. Drizzle yogurt cheese dressing on top of fruit mixture. Cut watermelon salad into slices like pizza. Serves many. You can find all of these recipes on my website, KidChefEliana.com. If you have a secret ingredient you'd like me to talk about, you can email me at eliana@kidchefeliana.com or call my US toll-free number, 888-721-5915. Leave me your first name, where you're calling from, and your question. Maybe your suggestion will air on a future episode. It's time for Foodie News. I will give you an update on new food trends, cool cooking info, and the occasional strange food story. The first Slim Jim was sent into outer space. Slim Jim assembled a team of a physicist, a meteorologist, an engineer, and a meat emissary. They launched a vessel that included the Slim Jim and 4 paper astronauts that had a mass of 5.8 pounds. It continued to rise at a speed of 15 feet per second, and it reached 100,000 feet, and their mission was accomplished. KFC Hong Kong released Napoli Crispy Pizza Chicken. The chicken is breaded with mozzarella and cheddar mix. It comes with what looks like marinara sauce. Taco Bell officially launched their delivery service at more than 200 locations in California and Dallas, Texas. They partnered with DoorDash, an on-demand delivery service that's like Uber for your food. Taco Bell hopes to offer delivery everywhere where the two companies coexist. For a limited time, Oreo is releasing Key Lime Pie Oreos. It has a graham cracker cookie with a lime green key lime pie flavored filling. And that's this week's Foodie News. Hey Kid Foodies, I'd love to hear from you. Tweet me. I'm at KidChefEliana. Send me your questions and ideas and we'll connect. I'm also Eliana Cook's fan page on Facebook. On Instagram and Pinterest, I'm Kid Chef Eliana. So, you know where to find me. You're listening to Cool Kids Cook. This is Kid Chef Eliana, and it's time for the Cookbook Shelf. In this segment, I'll review the latest cookbooks and share it with you. Today's cookbook is Louisiana de Mer, Seasonal Seafood Recipes, written by Louisiana Cookin. Now, this cookbook actually has all kinds of different seasonal seafood recipes for everything from carnival to holiday fetes. Now, with its gumbo pot of cultures and flavors, Louisiana Cookin always has seafood at its core. Now, it's actually, Louisiana's fed by the Gulf of Mexico lakes and the mighty Mississippi, and Bayou State cooks create masterpieces from shrimp to crawfish and more. Now, this cookbook actually has a collection of more than 75 classic and updated seafood recipes, that will inspire countless heartwarming meals. So this is really a great cookbook that just released June 15th, so it's brand new. So I love this, and it's a really awesome book, and I actually have another book this cookbook that I'll be giving away next week. So if you tune in next week, you'll find out how you could win this book. So the recipes in here are just so delicious, and I love them. Like snapper with tomatoes and capers, and there's shrimp cornbread muffins, crawfish bread bites, fiery grilled shrimp and garden vegetables, grilled shrimp po' boys with Asian slaw, and the pictures are phenomenal. They look so amazing, and just looking at it's making me so hungry. And I love all the different seafood recipes, so they're not, just the same old thing. They are really creative recipes, and there's like rosemary lemon shrimp skewers. Some of them are, really easy, and other ones, are a little bit harder. There's blue crab and corn soup, oyster artichoke soup, oyster pan roast, and oh my gosh, it's so good. They even have a recipe for extra spicy Cajun seasoning. There's flash-cured yellowfin tuna rolls, and crawfish and stone ground grits gratin, crawfish boudin, blackened catfish. There's is even a recipe for traditional Trinity and zesty remoulade. There's ultimate crawfish boil. There's a Papa's bouillabaisse and everything in here. So there's all kinds of recipes. You should definitely check it out. There's even shrimp pho and all kinds of other ones. Oh my gosh, this looks so great. So all the recipes in here are really awesome. Definitely check it out and see if you could win this book next week. Now, this past weekend was 4th of July, and it was actually really great 4th of July. It was actually a really busy 4th of July for me. In the morning of 4th of July, I had a cooking demonstration at the Crescent City Farmers Market. And at the Farmers Market, of course, as you know, I always shop the Farmers Market beforehand and invent a recipe on the spot. And this time, I gave the recipe earlier, I made my red, white, and blue watermelon salad. So this was something that I just kind of came up with. I was actually inspired by, basically what they had at the farmer's market. I knew that I definitely wanted to use watermelon since it was in season, and it was so delicious. They had free slices of watermelon there, and I tasted it, and it was so sweet, and oh my gosh, it was so good. So I definitely had to use that, and then when I did that, it was the last day for blueberries, so they had so many blueberries that I decided to get some of those, and they were so sweet, and the flavor of the blueberries was so strong. It was like no other blueberry I've had. It was so good. So I decided to get the blueberries, and they had some beautiful Creole tomatoes, and they had these white peaches that weren't quite ripe, and I really liked that because they had a nice crunch to it, and it also added, white to that, so I was trying to go for red, white, and blue theme, so that's why I had the blueberries, watermelon, Creole tomatoes, and the peaches were white, and then also I had the yogurt cheese, which was white, and I created a sauce with the yogurt cheese, like a little dressing on top. So that was really great, and it came out so awesome, and I used the herbs from my garden, and I really loved how it came out. I was actually surprised how awesome it was, and that was really great, and everyone else really loved it too, so I'm really happy how it came out, and I definitely want to make that again. So I definitely check that one out, and it's really easy to put together, and it doesn't even involve any cooking at all, so it was a really fresh dish that I made. And then I also had a grill out at my house. All my family came over, and we had just grilled all kinds of things. We did jerk chicken, we did hot dogs, hamburgers, we even grilled some veggies, we did like a squash and some other veggies, I don't remember. We did some garlic smashed potatoes, and then we also had some oven steamed corn, which I'll give the recipe later in the show. And then we even did for dessert some fruit salad and grilled peaches, but not just any kind of grilled peaches. I coated them in olive oil and a little bit of cinnamon and sugar, and then grilled it, and oh my gosh, they turned out so great. And then I also added a little bit of fresh lemon thyme on top after they came off the grill. So that came out super spectacular, so I really love that. Well, grab some watermelon. We'll be right back. I'm Kid Chef Eliana, and you're listening to Cool Kids Cook. Welcome back to Cool Kids Cook. I'm Kid Chef Eliana, and it's time for Figure Out This Food. I have a game on Facebook page called Figure Out This Food. I post a close-up of a food item, and the first 3 guesses get a shout-out here. Congratulations to Shannon Bro, Betsy Sanders Long, and Stacy Lewis for guessing figs. Let's talk about figs. Fig trees actually have no blossoms on their branches. The blossom is inside of the fruit, and lots of tiny flowers produce the crunchy small edible seeds that give figs their unique texture. The fig tree is actually a symbol of abundance, fertility, and sweetness. California produces all the United States dried figs and 98% of the fresh figs. In the early 16th century, Spaniards introduced mission figs to California territory. Figs made their first commercial product appearance with the introduction of Fig Newton cookies in 1892. It's Snacktivity time. Here, I give you fun, easy breezy snack ideas. Today's Snacktivity is oven steamed fresh corn. Now this is a foolproof way to make perfect corn every single time. Ingredients: 4 ears fresh corn on the cob in husk and a sink full of water. Directions: preheat oven to 400 degrees. Soak corn inside husk in a sink full of water for 30 minutes. Roast in oven for 40 minutes. Peel husk and serve. Serves 4. Hey young chefs, this is Kid Chef Eliana, and it's time for Creative Cuisine. This is a recipe for Mollie Katzen's carrot cake. Now this recipe is courtesy of Robin Newman. It's from her book, The Case of the Missing Carrot Cake. Now this is an easy cake that's very moist. You can have fun grating a peeled fat carrot on a hand grater for this. If you're careful to watch your knuckles, you can also have someone help you safely grate a carrot with a food processor with a grating attachment, or simply buy carrots already grated. You will need 4 bowls for this. Make sure they are big enough so you can enjoy mixing without worrying about spills. Unwrap the butter up to an hour ahead of time and place it directly in the bowl to soften. Ingredients: non-stick cooking spray, half a cup or 1 stick of butter softened in a big bowl, 1 cup of packed light brown sugar, 2 large eggs, 1 teaspoon of pure vanilla extract, 1½ cups of all-purpose flour, 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1/4 of a teaspoon of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1½ cups of packed grated carrots, and 6 tablespoons of buttermilk. Directions: preheat the oven to 350 degrees, or 325 degrees if using a glass pan, and spray a 6 by 9 inch baking pan, or its equivalent, with non-stick spray. Begin beating the butter with an electric hand mixer on medium speed. After about a minute, sprinkle in the sugar and beat at medium speed again until the sugar is all mixed in. Break 1 egg into a bowl and slide it into the butter bowl. Beat again until it's mixed in, then do the same with the second egg. When it's combined, add the vanilla and beat at high speed for about 2 minutes or until very fluffy. Use a rubber spatula to scrape the sides of the bowl a few times so you can include all the bits. Measure the flour and other dry ingredients into the third bowl and mix slowly by hand for just a few seconds until all combine. Combine the carrot and buttermilk in the 4th bowl and stir to completely combine. Add about 1/3 of the flour mixture to the butter-sugar mixture, stirring with a spoon until it's pretty much mixed in. Then add about half the carrot mixture and mix that in too. No beating necessary at this point, just spoon mixing. Stir in another 1/3 of the flour, followed by the remaining flour, mixing after each addition. You can use a rubber spatula in addition to the spoon to scrape the sides of the bowl. Transfer the batter to the prepared pan, spreading the mixture evenly into place. Bake in the center of the oven for 25 to 35 minutes or until the top is springy to the touch. Careful! And the edges are lightly golden. Carefully remove from the oven and cool completely before cutting into squares and enjoying. Makes 8 to 10 servings. Cooking and baking demand careful attention. Neither the author nor publisher assumes responsibility for any accident, misadventure, or overeating from the use of this recipe. It's time for kitchen crafts. Here's a fun kitchen-related craft. Today's kitchen craft is how to make an ocean in a bottle. Supplies: empty 2-liter bottle, water, canola or vegetable oil, blue food coloring, and a funnel. Instructions. Step 1. fill a third of a bottle with water. Step 2. Add a few drops of food coloring. Close the bottle top onto the bottle and shake well. Step 3. Fill remaining space in the bottle with oil. Step 4. Turn the bottle up and down, watching the ocean waves roll by. The instructions, along with photos, are on my website for this week's episode on KidChefEliana.com. Don't forget to connect with me on Twitter and Facebook. I'm at KidChefEliana on Twitter and Eliana Cooks fan page on Facebook. Be sure to hit that like button. I like you, and I hope you like me too. If you're listening to the show on iTunes, be sure to subscribe, rate, and review the show. The more reviews we get, the more young chefs you can reach. And remember, my Parent Choice Approved award-winning cookbook and the Latino Book Award winner, Cool Kids Cook Louisiana, and my newest cookbook, Cool Kids Cook Fresh and Fit, are available at any online book retailer. Now, also on 4th of July, after we had the grill out and we were super stuffed, I actually decided to go on a bike ride because I try to ride my bike every day during the summer. And my cousins decided to go with me. But I only had my bike, so they had to walk. But they were kind of tired of walking. And so I actually figured out how to ride a bike with someone like sitting on the back of the bicycle. So I have a classic bike, and I have just like a little basket attached to the front. And then behind my seat, there's like a little spot where you can actually like attach a basket on the back of your bike, like if you wanted to put bags or groceries or whatever. And so my cousin she actually like sat on that and then put her feet like up onto the bike where it wasn't in the way. And it took maybe about like 10 minutes to actually get it right where I could actually like ride properly without almost falling over. It was pretty funny, but then I got the hang of it and I could basically just ride with anyone on the back of the bike. So all of the cousins are taking turns, but it was really fun. And then they tried to ride the bike with me on the back, but I'm not that great at balancing, so it didn't really work out. I'm better at the front, where I'm actually pedaling, not sitting on the back. But that was pretty fun. But then later that night, my Nana picked us all up from the house, and my Nana and Papa, and she had some company with her, and we went to see the fireworks on the levee, and that was really fun. So she picked us up, and we drove there, and then once we finally found parking, we went to the levee, or close to the levee, and we got to watch the fireworks, and they were really beautiful. And my Nana also had a separate grill out, and so she brought food for us. We were actually kind of full already, still. And she also baked some brownies, and she brought the entire brownie, like all the brownies that she made. And so we just snacked on brownies the whole time. And that was really good. So that was a lot of fun, seeing the fireworks and all that. And then I actually started my stage at Commander's Palace. So that has been really awesome so far. So far, I've only been there for a day, like for a full day. And it's been like kind of tough because the kitchen is so big and there's so many different people cooking in there, and so trying to learn like all the names and where everything goes and how everything works. But it's going to be a process, but I can't wait. So I'll be staging there for a month, and right now they have me on production, and so for my first day, the entire time I peeled and deveined 50 pounds of shrimp with a little bit of help towards the end. So that was kind of fun-ish. But after, like when I got home, my hands still smelled like shrimp. And I had to take a shower as soon as I got home to like try and get the smell off my hands. But it was still really fun. And I can't wait for more days to come and see what else I'll be doing there. So I'm super excited about that, and I'll tell you more about it when I work there some more. Well, that's all for this week. I leave you with this quote from Dalai Lama. happiness is not something ready-made. It comes from your own actions. Thanks so much for joining me. I'm Kid Chef Eliana with Cool Kids Cook. Bon appetit. I'll see you next week.